Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and training camp is right around the corner. Thank God. Yes! Football is almost here. We are anticipating different things for the NFL season coming up. So in today's video, I'm going to make my predictions of where each team could possibly land. Now, this is not a win-loss record prediction because I'm gonna be honest, I mean, it can only be so much of me being right or so much of predictions because I'm not good with the numbers. So I was just gonna predict where each team I think is going to land in this 2024 season. But let's not make this any longer. Without further ado, let's dive into it. First, we're going to start off with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals are a team that I possibly see making the wild card. I don't see them winning that division, mainly because of the other team in the division that I'm going to get to. But I think we can see them as a wild card with Joe Burrow being back healthy. That defense, I think, is going to improve. Of course, offensively, it's going to be improved with a healthy Joe Burrow. With this team, even though Joe Mixon is gone, I think a guy like Chase Brown can step into that running back role and be more productive. You still have Jamar Chase. You still have T. Higgins for the moment. They did lose Tyler Boyd, but I still think this is a wild card playoff team in my opinion. Next is the Houston Texans. I see them running away with that AFC South division with CJ Stroud from The Ohio State University, adding Joe Mixon, adding Stephon Diggs to an already good offense. Then you have Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. I just really think that this team is going to run away with the AFC South. And with a defense led by Will Anderson Jr., Petre on the back end, Jalen Petre, Derek Stingley, I just think this team is the most complete team in the AFC South and one of the more complete teams, I think, in the AFC. Next is the Los Angeles Chargers, and I have them as a playoff wild card. Now, this section is for teams where I see them with the potential to make the playoffs, but they could be in or out, and I'll get to the barely missed playoff category in a minute. I just feel that this team is a wild card to possibly be a wild card, if that makes any type of sense. And it might be the same category as barely missed playoffs. For this, I'm going to put them at the playoff wild card. Justin Herbert being back healthy, new head coach Jim Harbaugh. Defensively, they are a little older. Joey Bosa has been dealing with knick-knack injuries throughout the course of his career. Khalil Mack is a little older. And then you lose Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And basically, Josh Palmer at the moment is the #1 wide receiver. So, playoff wild card for the moment. Next is the Philadelphia Eagles. This team, I don't know, that collapse at the end of last season was so bad, but they did improve their secondary. I'm going to have them as I'm struggling between these two categories, but for the moment, I'm going to put them at wild card. It could probably change as I go on throughout this video. With Cooper DeJean and Quentin Minshew, who they drafted, I'm not sure if James Bradbury is going to be on the roster, to be honest, because his play was probably one of the worst I've seen of him throughout his career. Did you lose Fletcher Cox to retirement and Jason Kelce to retirement? This team, they did re-sign A.J. Brown, and they re-signed Devontae Smith. They added Saquon Barkley offensively, so I still think the running game is going to be strong. I still think Jalen Hurts is going to be a very good quarterback. To me, I think it's the Eagles' defense is going to be a question. Next is the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're young with upside, drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. from The Ohio State University. But I just don't think this team has a long way to go. I'm not going to say for #1 pick potential. This team has a very, very long way to travel, in my opinion, if we're going to be honest. So I am going to have them as a young football team with upside. Next is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is, I think, a more stronger NFC South division, a little bit stronger, but I think they are going to be the teams that, I think that's the Atlanta Falcons are going to be the team with the healthy Kirk Cousins, and I think that's something we need to predicate. A healthy Kirk Cousins, I think this team is probably going to be division winner. And the things that they've done with Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, you have Kyle Pitts, who has been rumored to be both at wide receiver and tight end with his athletic ability and size. And you have Drake London. You add Bijan Robinson, AJ Terrell on the back end of their defense. Grady Jarrett still productive up front. I still think this team is going to be the cream of the crop of that division, which is not a very good division. But I think with a healthy Kirk Cousins, they are going to win that division. Next is the Baltimore Ravens, and this is why I put the Bengals at wild card, because I still believe the Baltimore Ravens, despite some of the things that they lost this offseason in Patrick Queen and Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, even though he missed last season from injury and also from The Ohio State University, I still think this team is going to be a little bit better. You still have Lamar coming off of his MVP season, even though the AFC Championship game was boo-boo. Could I put them as Super Bowl contenders? Maybe, but you know what? I think I'm going to take off Super Bowl contenders for this. We're going to leave it at that. Next is the Buffalo Bills. I have the Bills at a wild card. I just don't believe with the things that they've lost, they're going to be able to win this division. I still think they're being a wild card. I still think they will make the playoffs with Josh Allen's play, but losing Stephon Diggs, losing Gabe Davis, Tre'Davious White, it's a lot. Jordan Poyer as well. This team has a lot to kind of recover from. So even though James Cook did pretty well last year in the running game, I still think this team has a way to go. Next is my Chicago Bears. And I am going to have the Bears for the moment at playoff wild card, as in they can have the potential. And even though I'm personally expecting this team to make the playoffs with all the moves that the Bears have made, whether you're adding Keenan Allen, whether you're extending Jaylon Johnson down the back end, Montez Sweat gets a full offseason in the Matt Eberflus defense, you add Odunze, and you draft Caleb Williams, along with adding DeAndre Swift and Gerald Everett on that offense. Offensive line, I still think is the biggest question mark of this football team, if we're going to be honest. I still think the offensive line for the Bears is the biggest question mark. But if this offensive line gets themselves together, I can easily see them being a wild card. But next, we're going to have the Cleveland Browns. And until Deshaun Watson shows me something, I'm going to have the Browns that barely missed the playoffs. Nick Chubb coming back healthy, and I'm shaky on Deshaun Watson. Even though I personally like watching him playing when he's at the top of his game. Defensively, you have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward from The Ohio State University. And Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who is one of the more productive linebackers that we have in the NFL. I'm just not going to believe in Deshaun Watson at this moment in time until I see it. For now, I'm going to have the Browns barely miss the playoffs. And as for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to have them as the playoff wild card. They could potentially be there with a team in that division. And I just think the recovery that they need to make, they added some things on the back end. Josh Hines Allen now. You have Trevor Lawrence, who they just extended, who I think can be better in this 2024 season. Travis Etienne, Gabe Davis, who they added to go along with Christian Kirk. Calvin Ridley, losing him is a bit hurt because of the things and he was able to do with this Doug Peterson offense. But I still think have them as a playoff potential wild card. Next is the Los Angeles Rams. I also have them as the playoff potential wild card, assuming Matthew Stafford stays healthy with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Defensively, I think is my biggest question mark for them as far as what is this team going to look like minus Aaron Donald, who retired. Kobe Durant on the back end of that defense is very solid. I'm just interested how they're going to look as a unit without the protection or the attention that Aaron Donald brings. Next is the Minnesota Vikings. I have them. I want to switch between these two, but the only reason I'm putting them at young with upside is that quarterback position. Whether it's J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold, this team has upside. Defensively, they lost Danielle Hunter, Wanham, and Harrison Smith is not getting younger. But on the offensive side, even though Justin Jefferson is entering year 4 of his career, I still think this team is a bit young with upside, mainly because of what is going on at that quarterback position. Adding Aaron Jones helps, but I still think this young with upside. And the New Orleans Saints, I think they're in a barely missed playoff category. It's interesting to see where Derek Carr is going to be, Alvin Kamara. That defense is getting older. Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore from The Ohio State University. Chris Olave on the offensive side of the ball is going to take a next step, and he's also from The Ohio State University. I just think this team, that's not a young team with upside because they're a little bit older, but I think they will barely miss the playoffs. New York Giants, I hate to do it, but number 1 pick potential because if you guys know, I am not a believer in Daniel Jones. Never have been, never will be. Not a believer in Daniel Jones. I'm just not. Brian Daboll has a lot of work to do with this offense. Even though they did add Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson is still a very good player. Devin Singletary, who they added in free agency. I am just not a big believer in Daniel Jones. Even though Kayvon Thibodeau to play a lot better in the second half of last year, and Dexter Lawrence up front. I'm just not a believer in Daniel Jones. Seattle Seahawks, I think this is a football team that may barely miss the playoffs yet again. We have to see more from Geno Smith, which I don't think is going to be there, to be honest. And without Shane Waldron, this team offensively could possibly change. And defensively, I'm just not the biggest believer outside of Tariq Woolen and Witherspoon. Just not a big believer as a unit in this defense. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think this is a team that may barely miss the playoffs. Defense is getting a little older. They lost Devin White. Baker Mayfield, is interesting to see if he can recapture year one in this Tampa Bay system. I personally think this is still a solid football team. It's just, and they also lost Carlton Davis in the trade, so I just think they lost a little bit too much. I just don't think this team is going to be the same as last year, and I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to be the same. Washington Commanders, I had them as young with upside with Jaden Daniels, pairing with Terry McLaurin for the Ohio State University. Dodson, Robinson in the backfield. This team is still fresh. This team is still going to be young. And with Dan Quinn on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're going to improve there with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne up front leading a charge of that defense. It still has a lot of room to grow, and that is okay with having Jaden Daniels as a rookie quarterback. Number one pick potential. Denver Broncos, believe it or not, because that quarterback situation is probably the worst that we have in the NFL. Bo Nix, not sold on. Zach Wilson, yeah, not sold on him. Jarrett Stidham, not too much sold on him either. So I think that with the quarterback situation itself, I think they had number one pick potential. That's just me. Even though Patrick Surtain II is still a very good football player, I just think they still have number one pick potential. Today's video is brought to you by Cellular C4. This is a product that I personally used before I even decided to partner with them. And the first thing I got introduced to was the energy drinks by C4. This right here is a fruit punch flavor. They have many other flavors. They have popsicle flavors that just dropped. They have Skittles, Starburst, all the type of flavors that you want. To help you get started with your day, you can wake up in the morning before you start your day and drink you one of those. And also before you get that workout in, when it's workout day, you can take you some pre-workout. To help you get the boost in your workout, all the products, 0 sugar, low calories. This is a great product to take you in your workouts and your journey on fitness to the next level. And I am happy to partner with a product that I was already using in my own personal life. And I will leave my code in the description below to save you guys 20% on your first purchase of C4, of their workouts. They even have muscle recovery to help boost after workouts. They have so many supplements and things to help you on your fitness journey, and you can get yours today in the description below. Click the link and use my code APW Sports to help you save 20%. And again, the links are in the description below, and use the code APW Sports to save you 20% on your purchase. Now, it is time to get back into the video. Detroit Lions, I still have the Detroit Lions winning the NFC North. I still believe that they are the cream of the crop of the NFC North division. And I think that defensively they got better with the Carlton Davis trade. I believe that this team is still there. Amon St. Brown on the wide receiver. You have Sam Laporta, tight end, very good player. Jamil Gibbs, David Montgomery, Jared Goff on that offense. And a defense led by Aiden Hutchinson, who I think this team was getting better. Azzaloni at the linebacker position. I just think this team is just continuing to get better and better. And I still believe that they will be the NFC North Division champion. The reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I still don't see anybody in that AFC West taking them down. I still am a big question at the wide receiver position, but we also had that question last year, and look where they got them. Defensively, losing L'Jarius Sneed could hurt, but with a Steve Spagnuolo type defense, I think they will be able to manage. But L'Jarius Sneed in the season that he had, I think losing that could be a hurt. But you do have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, so until they get taken down in the AFC West, I don't see that happening. Jets, I have the Jets. I'm gonna have the Jets here, making a wild card with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson from The Ohio State University. Added Mike Williams. Alan Lazard is still on the roster. Then you have Breece Hall in the backfield. That defense led by Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, CJ Mosley. And I just believe that this team is good quarterback play away from being a playoff team. And I think if Aaron Rodgers is healthy for a full season, they're in the playoffs. And the reason I don't think they will be division winners is the Miami Dolphins. I think the Miami Dolphins, with a healthy Chubb, with a healthy Jalen Phillips, healthy Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, healthy Raheem Mostert, Devin Achane, with Tua, I think can be better in this year. I just think that this team is going to take over the Buffalo Bills, who lost a lot, and win the AFC East crown. The Panthers, I still see them as a young football team, but they have some upside. They really, really have upside. Bryce Young in year 2. Dave Canales taking over as the head coach, who did a really great job with Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay. This team is still young. This team has upside. I don't see them being #1 pick overall bad as they were last year. I still think there's some upside with some stability in the organization, stability in the coaching range, and I think the things that Canales did with Baker Mayfield can translate to Bryce Young. Next, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys, and I see them winning the NFC East, and the only reason I think I'm going to have them as the NFC East Division champions, I just don't believe in Philly, and we all know I don't believe in the Giants, and the Commanders are still growing. I'm just not, the only reason I say I don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles is because the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know about the downfall. The Cowboys are known to have downfalls of their own, but I think with a lot of this football team still intact, it's interesting to see where the running game goes, but they did bring back Zeke from The Ohio State University. But the running game leaves me a bit to be questioned, but I do believe that Prescott can be a very good quarterback. We saw MVP potential last year. CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trevon Diggs back healthy, DeRon Bland on the defensive side of the ball. Dak Prescott, I think is the key, and how are they able to run the football, I think is the key. Green Bay Packers, I have them as the wild card, in my opinion. They can have that wild card area. I just think Jordan Love, second half of the season, I don't think it was a fluke, in my opinion. I'm not a big believer in the receiving core because of the injuries of Christian Watson and the inexperience a bit of the rest of the core, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, who did play solid. They lose Aaron Jones. They did bring in Josh Jacobs, but I think Aaron Jones, when healthy, was a little bit more of a dynamic back, and he did a little bit more than what I think Josh Jacobs brings to the table. Wild card for the Packers. And the NFC West Division champion, the reigning NFC champions, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the Brandon Ayuk situation I think is going to be key in what happens with this team going forward. I don't think anybody in the division is going to take them down, and I still believe Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, you name it, Debo, George Kittle, Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football, and Tyler Logan Hufanga, who missed a lot of last season, is coming back healthy at that safety spot, and I think having him in the Super Bowl may have been a big difference of them winning and losing it. So I still think they're the cream of the crop in the end. Not just the NFC West, but the NFC. The Colts, I see them as a young football team with upside. Anthony Richardson basically missed most of last year with injury. So we're going to see what we get in a full season of him. So at the end of the day, I have them as young with the upside of the Colts. The Raiders, the only reason I say #1 pick potential is the quarterback situation. I'm not saying Antonio Pierce is a bad coach, because he's not. Max Crosby defensively, I've always been one that's not a believer in their secondary, and I don't think they really did anything different. And I think at some point they're going to trade Devontae Adams, believe it or not. And I think this team is going to suffer. And I don't think it has anything to do with Antonio Pierce. It's just the talent on the offensive side of the ball. To me, it's just outside of Devontae Adams, I just don't believe. And Brock Bowers coming in from the draft, I just don't think it's much there. The New England Patriots, they are young with upside. And you know what? I'm going to put the Patriots in #1 pick potential. I just don't. They're still young. They're still a rebuilding football team. Drake May is more than likely going to be the starter. Jacoby Brissett has a chance to start a little bit if they feel that Drake May is not particularly ready. But this team is still young. This team still has a lot to do. but the development of Drake May is the #1 concern for this football team. Pittsburgh Steelers, I have them as a playoff wild card, mainly because of what is going to happen in their quarterback situation, whether it's Justin Fields from The Ohio State University or whether it's Russell Wilson. That is going to be the biggest question mark, and it is the biggest question mark of this team, is the quarterback situation. And I said that in a video that I made an E-Team storyline in the AFC part, that whatever happens at the quarterback position is going to determine their seed. They still have a very good defense led by TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. They add Patrick Queen in that linebacking core. You have Joey Porter Jr., who I think is going to emerge in year 2 of his NFL career. On the offensive side of the ball, George Pickens is that guy. I believe he's developing into that guy. You have Najee Harris. So I still think that quarterback position is going to determine a lot. And for the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to have them young with upside, mainly because of the quarterback situation with Will Levis. They have a lot of them around them, whether it's Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, they signed Tyler Boyd, they brought in Tony Pollard. Defensively, they added Najarius Sneed. The only reason I say young with upside is Will Levis. And his play is going to determine whether they can barely miss the playoffs or be in contention for the playoffs. But these are just kind of my somewhat prediction. It might not be 100% accurate, which is fine. I just like to have a little fun experiment with these things. You guys either agree or disagree. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.